I love you. 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 And I love every single person I didn't point at. Now, how many of you think that your ability to give and receive love have anything to do with the success in your business, with your family, with your friends, with your own self-acceptance, with your own self-worth? What do you think? Yes. Human beings are on this earth for two things, and they make manifestations in their own way, in their own creations, from these two things. They want to be loved, and they want to give love. They want to be understood, and they want to understand. It's that simple. And yet, we like to distort these things. We like to entertain ourselves with all these different things that can push us away from what we are naturally made for. I'm going to show you, if you're still a little bit skeptical, how this changes not only your business, but your life forever. Because you come back to your birthright. Why you here, why you were born, is this. Cool. Now we got that baseline. I'm supposed to have a clicker, right? There we go. And here I'm talking about love, I'm talking about what? Focus? Is this it? This works? Focus, cool. Focus. Love and focus. How does this work? Things don't normally work for me. Technology? Me and technology? Oh, we're good. Okay, cool. All right. I did. Are you ready? Thank you, Chase. All right, Chase is going to come up here. We're going to make something very easy today. I want to be able to have success defined by you all so that I don't have to, say success, happiness, fulfillment, all these other things, right? Like, let's just call success all the things that you guys define it as so that when I say success, I don't have to keep explaining myself. Deal? Deal. Okay, success. All right. Anybody? How would you define success in a word? Freedom. Love freedom. Growth. Happiness. Fulfillment. Peace. All right. Where are we at, Chase? I'm pointing faster than you can write, so. Peace. Peace is next. And then fulfillment. What's next? Time. Integrity. Relationships? Your handwriting is better than you said it was.
Very
And that's what intention does. Intention turns terrible handwriting into legible handwriting. What could intention do in your business? Relationships, right? Relationships. Hey, there it goes. Somebody's catching on. Okay. Can we all agree that this is success? Okay, cool. Awesome. The next thing I would like to do, and this is actually agreements for the entire time that we're here, and I know we've already been here pretty much a day, but you all have shown up in a certain way already, which I really appreciate, and I honor you for it. But what I would like to know is how can we agree to be, not only in this talk, but for the rest of the 2 days that we're going to be here, 2.5 days? So where are some agreements, characteristic-wise, we can be? Present. Trusting. Was it? Oh, okay. To be or not to be?
Well, yeah, it's like call to action.
Understood. Present, trusting. What else?
Truthful. Vulnerability.
Vulnerable?
Yeah.
And truthful.
Open.
Open what?
Open to receive.
Open to receive.
Not closed-minded.
Not closed-minded. Cool. So truthful is great, and I'm glad nobody chose honesty, because you can be honest with yourself as a way to hide from the truth. We do it all the time, especially as guys. We will tell everybody and anybody how great we are doing with a smile on our face, and then maybe at the end might be like, oh yeah, and there's this thing going on with my girlfriend, but you know. Right? That's the thing. That's the thing that's causing all the rest of it to be not so great, even though we say it is. Chase, I think that's it.
Chase?
Is that it? No, Chase. Yeah, Chase, you can be in agreement if you want. Is that it for the agreements, guys? Cool? All right, awesome. All right, let's go and roll this back. So this is going to stay up here the entire time. And this is also a beautiful way to stay within your intentions. So I'm going to give you guys some things, because a lot of times I have a plan and then the plan goes out the window when I start talking. But you know that this up here, all the things that you think are actually real, but you don't think they're real until you see them, or you feel them, or you hear it, right? Your six senses that sense your reality says that everything up here is not real until I see it in person. And yet, when something creates something up here inside of your reality, a lot of times if it's painful, you're like, no, I don't see that. It's called emotional baggage. And then we just carry it, act like it's not there. So what I do is I actually teach leaders and founders to be invincible. Doesn't that sound nice? The trick is, to be invincible, you also have to be vulnerable. And there are two dynamics. It's a paradox. How can you be invincible and vulnerable at the same time? Well, the problem is that, again, we as guys act like we're invincible, act being the true. I wanted to stop for a second. The reflection that comes to mind right now is inside of this space. Is that we as men, literally, will sit in front of anybody and everybody with our chest puffed up and just dying on the inside. Dying on the inside. And the more we try and mask it, the more we die. We imprison ourselves. Success is freedom, absolutely. Personal freedom. Emotional freedom, physical freedom, financial freedom, sexual freedom. Something that in today's world right now is very hard to be. So to be truly invincible, let's just play this out. You know, if I was born and I'm like, man, I'm invincible, and I really believed it, would I ever put myself in danger? Maybe, maybe not. But maybe not, because I was telling myself I'm invincible the entire time. But again, that's how we trap ourselves. So in all actuality, once we can release all the things that are killing us inside, that are imprisoning us, then we become invincible. Oh man, I can't tell you. I'm like sitting in it right now thinking about the time in which I literally came out about my addiction to porn and drugs and all these other things, and what kind of relief that was for me. So I got a lot of energy built up, and you guys agreed to be open-minded and everything else, so I would like for you all to do me a favor and stand up. Now we're going to do something what's called a primal scream. And I have a lot of talking to do, so I'll just ask that just once, all the little pent-up frustration, anger, the thing that you might feel imprisoned by, that you literally scream at the top of your lungs to get it all out. On the count of 3, and we'll go on 3, you scream. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ah! There you go. Sit down. Thank you. How'd that feel? That's a form of emotional intelligence. What if when like shit was going bad, or you were just really frustrated, you just did that instead of going home, maybe taking it out on your wife, your kids, right? Maybe drowning it down with a couple of beers at night so you ain't got to think about it. When really you could have just let it all out in 3 seconds. I asked you guys 2 questions to contemplate before coming in today. First one is, where should you direct your focus? Go ahead and write this down if you have not yet. We're going to answer those questions. The next one is, what is the cost of your misguided focus? These are really hard questions to answer. One, opportunity cost is what I'm talking about. Like, what does it cost for you to be unfocused? Well, it's hard to quantify. You actually can if you were intentional about it, but it's hard to quantify. But there's a lot of things I like to do. One of the most healing things you can ever do for yourself is have a higher perspective of your life. And also, one of the biggest realizations you'll ever have is by having a higher perspective for your life. You ever took some time, and you might have probably heard this before, but this is just an example, where you like go onto your phone and then you find how long you've been on an app, right? But you only see it in the myopic way of, oh shit, I spend 4 hours a day on my Instagram. I should probably get better at that. And then you multiply it by 52 weeks, and then you multiply it by 100 years, and then you spent like 3 hours on your phone on Instagram. Or, I'm sorry, 3 years, right, on Instagram? And you're like, oh, fuck. Is that 3 years? What could I have been doing in 3 years of time rather than wasting it? But we live in a society, in a world, in which your focus is being constantly taken from you. But that's the victim state of mind, because you choose to give it. So I want to do a little experiment. This is going somewhere. Trust me. Trust the process, right? All right. Here's the scenario. You see it in front of you. We got number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Behind one of those is everything that you could ever want in your life, instantly manifested. Now, what I'm going to have you guys do is that you're going to have 2 seconds to hold up in your hand what number you think it is. Ready? Go. Okay. Write it down in your journal. You now have 60 seconds to decide if you would like to change your mind. I'll let you know when we're done. You might fall asleep. If you're willing to sacrifice that, go right ahead. That's why I love you.
Maybe you already know the door.
Maybe. Maybe the game is rigged. Maybe we don't know the rules of this game. Right? Okay. Everybody? Seems to be in deciding, so go ahead and pop them back up again. Which one? I only see one person that won. Oh man, Alex. And the point of this whole thing is not for you to be right or wrong. And that's the beauty of it. But what the hell caused you guys to put up the finger that you did? What was that? You know?
I like 3.
You like 3.
Yes, I like 3.
You like 3. Did anybody have a feeling about it?
I just had a feeling 4.
Okay. 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 What I'm showing you is that this is intuition. That feeling that maybe it's this, it's intuition. The funny thing about intuition is that we like to think that it's guiding us to the exact thing that we're going to get immediately, when it's not. It's guiding you down a path for you to learn and grow most efficiently. There's a voice inside every single one of you. It's the same voice that I have. It's the same voice that Nick has or anybody else in this room and on this planet that's inside of you that says, I want more. You deserve more. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to find a partner. You deserve to make millions of dollars. You deserve to be able to live out your purpose. You deserve your dream life. It's your birthright. And I've been trying to tell you this for I don't know how many years, and you keep drowning me out. You keep telling me we're afraid. We're not. It's an illusion. You keep telling me that, I'm just not good enough, right? I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough tools. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy enough. That's really what it comes down to. But man, it tries. And then some of us do what I like to do, or like to do, which is drown it out. In anything and everything. Marijuana, alcohol, harder drugs, porn. All the while, it's like, hey man, none of this is working for you. Why you keep doing it? You guys identify with that? You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Okay, we've identified the voice. It's what I like to call your IGS. It just makes it a lot easier, because I can say intuition, God within you, inner voice, all these things. I call it the inner guidance system, because it's guiding you to a happy and fulfilled life. It's doing its best. But damn, it's scary, isn't it? Isn't it scary? That's where the fear comes from. That's the whole point. It's guiding your mental health, your discipline, your values, your physical health, your happiness, your purpose. It's there. It's guiding you. The faster you choose to listen, the faster you align with this voice, the faster you will start getting everything you want. But it doesn't come without pain. I like to say you can dig a hole with your ego, and then you figure it out. Oh, shit. This isn't the right way. Oh, now I got to climb. The climb's a lot harder than the dig. The climb is way more worth it. Way more. So this thing is truth. This was really what it is. And you've heard this word a lot around here, like truth, right? Truth. What is truth? And I'm going to get real granular. I'm not talking about what your truth is, or your truth is, or your truth is. It is the truth. A lot of times that's something that most of us can't discover unless we have a container like this to reflect back to us. Or a coach, or a person, whatever that is, right? Somebody that you could just be, just visualize this if you don't have this yet. Somebody that you could literally be 100% transparent with all the time. You know that you could speak to this person, and they're not going to judge me at all. They're not going to think lesser of me just because I've done something that I hold some sort of guilt and shame inside. They're not going to stop loving me because of this. They're going to support me. They're going to put themselves in the energy of just being there and listening. How many of you, by a show of hands, have somebody like that in your life right now? For those that do, how many of you believe that you're using, and when I say using, I mean it in a very kind way, that you're using that relationship to its max potential? That's what happens. There's the trick of the mind right there. Because fear holds us back from speaking. That's a prison to be in, I promise you that. So this is something I love to say, and you guys can write it down if you like, because it's probably the most impactful and grounding statement I've ever had in my life, besides another one which I'll discuss. Self-discipline is the prerequisite for self-respect. Self-respect is the prerequisite for courage, and courage is the prerequisite for success. I can show you the levels. What are we being disciplined to? We're being disciplined to the voice inside of us that worries about your health, that worries about your relationship, it worries about your business, it worries about everything that you're doing with your life when you're not in alignment. Once you get in alignment with it, that's discipline. From that point, I start feeling good about myself. And I use self-respect as the masculine word, but it's really self-love. And then once you start loving yourself, oh man, now I got the courage. You can overcome the fear because you know yourself, you respect yourself. You can be a warrior in that way. And once you have the courage that's unstoppable, that's invincible, success is yours. You just need a lot of patience and trust. And those are hard. So where should you direct your focus? Anybody know the answer to this just yet? You want to take a guess? Not bad. What are we being disciplined to? Yes. When I say yourself, I mean, yes, your true self. The authenticity that you are. I'm telling you guys that, and obviously this is experience and also coaching and everything else, what I've seen happen very, very quickly when you do one thing. You empower this and believe it as being such. As the powerful creator that's inside of each and every one of you that wants to create something. And when you believe it, you create a lot faster. You stop doubting it. So emotional intelligence. Whew. I might lose my voice. I hope not. Emotional intelligence. What I like to call the key performance indicator of peak performance. You guys know what a KPI is, by the way? Key performance indicator? Okay. So a key performance indicator is a measure of your business to see if it's performing to a certain level of whatever you say is the KPI. So let's say you want to have, 15% closing percentage in your sales, right? Then that's the KPI. And you want to be able to hit that as a measurable outcome. Now, 15% on a huge company is actually pretty good, but if you're an individual coach and you're closing 15%, I've been there. It's not good. How many of you guys have heard of this term, emotional intelligence? Okay. Yeah, it's really kind of a buzzword. It's starting to get going. So I can talk about it all day, right, and try and convince you. And one day I'll be on top of manifestation. One day somebody else is going to be watching me on video telling them how amazing emotional intelligence is. But for now, I'll let these guys do it. Or I won't. How do I play this thing? That works. Thank you. Oh, just need some noise. We'll try this again in a second. Well, I can tell you Tony's talking about belief. I don't know. Do you think we can get some? If we can, it's fine.
Research has shown that it plays a bigger role in a person's success than their financial status or...
So, think about what's the holy grail between somebody taking action or not. It's one word, certainty. When somebody is absolutely certain, the common word is believe, right? But, you can believe at a general level or you can believe with certain. When you're absolutely certain that if I do this, it's going to get that result and that result's going to change my life, you'll do it.
So why is EQ such a powerful indicator of success? And I say it's powerful because research has shown that it plays a bigger role in a person's success than their financial status or wealth or the family they grew up in.
And I think that I'm an EQ all-time great. And thus I go all in on EQ, and that is building the foundation of my success.
Emotions are the primary driver of our behavior. Our brain is hardwired such that our emotional reaction to events is what motivates us to act. So when you become more emotionally intelligent, you become better at a lot of things.
The middle no man's land of maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, that's the piece that kills people.
How bad? Oh. So you heard it from them. Do you believe me yet? You know what's funny? I was listening to a guy named Ed Milet speak, and I loved what he said. He probably said it at RoofCon. He said, I don't care whether you believe me or not. It doesn't matter. All that matters is I believe me. And you can feel that, right? Like, you ever talk to somebody, and you know what Tony was talking about, certainty? You ever like sit across from somebody and like they might actually be saying something you disagree with, but they're so damn certain about it, you're like, yeah, maybe that's the case. Certainty, that's what certainty does. We're talking about singleness of thought. But here's a couple of other stats for you guys. 90% of top performers are high in emotional intelligence and make 30K more a year. 100% of leaders on Fortune 500 companies gained insights to their bottom line improvements, and 67% of effective leadership is dependent on emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence? Well, the Webster's dictionary or definition is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. And just like everything else in our society, that's complicated. It's how well do you manage fear? That's it. That's all it is. How well can you realize that all the voices in your head are just your stories? That you have no present danger in front of you except for you. One of my favorite spiritual masters, his name is Adyashanti. He said, human beings are the only animals that can sit in a room with nothing around them, no present danger, and think themselves into danger. What a gift. But it actually is. Because if we actually realize that we can actually control whatever we want to control and do whatever we want to do, and that we have the choice to live how we want to live, a part of that is fear. That's a part of it. So what do we do with it? Well, I'm here to tell you right now that fear is a miscreation of your mind. It is an illusion that you create for yourself to entertain yourself. How many of you guys have the problem, have the sabotaging thing, that when shit is going really good, you don't like it? No? Nobody identifies with that? Okay, cool. All right, there we go. Come on, thank you. Isn't that strange? You finally achieve your definition of success, and then you want to fuck it up because it's boring. Why? I'll tell you one thing. Something will change when purpose enters your life. And I'm talking about a deep sense of purpose. I'm talking about literally figuring out exactly what it is that you can do for somebody in one conversation. How do you make somebody else feel? Your purpose doesn't lie in making millions of dollars or even impacting millions of people. That actually isn't where your purpose lies. Your purpose is something that you can do every single day. It's very small. It's subtle. But it's the thing that you can build into something so much bigger and then get to the point where you actually inspire and impact millions of people. You got to figure out how to do it with one first. Right? So cool. How do we manage fear? Now, there's a gentleman that his name's been thrown around a couple of times, Eddie Wilson. He came up with the Empire Operating System. What emotional intelligence allows you to do is navigate through change efficiently and effectively. Because what happens when things change? What happens? Something happens, it's different from your schedule. First thing, right? Resistance. Second thing, depending on the intensity of the schedule interruption, frustration, anger, all these things. And it's all those emotions that block you from doing ultimately what you have to do, which is deal with the disruption, figure out the best way to go forward, and then do it. So emotional intelligence is what helps here. This is what Eddie Wilson considers the slower change cycle. And maybe you can see yourself in this. There's an awareness that there's a problem. You get frustrated. You explore it. Okay, what's the solution? You make a choice. You're resistant to the choice. Then you go deeper down. And then finally, you commit. You guys do this before? Yeah? So what else is EQ? I've kind of taken on something a little bit different. If you were to read the definition, or not the definition, the emotional intelligence book, there's 5 areas that I have named a little bit differently because I feel like it applies better. Authenticity is self-awareness. You know why I changed it? Because I would talk to guys, And they'd be like, I am self-aware. Like, I know I'm an asshole. It's awareness of your authenticity. Not awareness that you're an asshole. That's not who you actually are. Is that how you feel? Is that what you want? No. Okay, then that's not actually self-awareness. Authenticity, aligned habits. You would see in an emotional intelligence book, it would say self-regulation, which is the ability to regulate your emotions. But if you can regulate your emotions, the inverse is that you'll be aligned habitually with all the things that you're doing. Passion. Again, they say self-motivation. Not as an entrepreneur. Self-motivation is only going to get you so far. Eventually, passion has to be the thing that takes hold, the thing that drives you past all of the challenges and obstacles. If you're not passionate and purposeful about what you want to do, motivation means jack shit. And I always hate it when people say, I lost my motivation. Like, you weren't born with motivation. It wasn't yours to begin with. We like to possess motivation. No, it's not yours. Motivation is built through action. And our mind, again, in fear, will trick us to believe that we're going to sit on the couch and then we're going to watch TV, and then one day, oh, I'm motivated. Shit, I'm going to go do something. It's never worked out that way. We have a story around it, don't we? It could be around your fitness, it could be around your family, it could be whatever it is, right? It's the adverse to what it's telling you to do creates the stories. So you guys want to find out how emotionally intelligent you are? Is that something? Oh, thank you, man. So you can either use this QR code. We're going to take about 5 minutes. I have an assessment. So my assessment is called the Apex assessment. You're going to get the light version. The light version is 25 questions. All I ask that you guys do is do this test and do it from a truthful and vulnerable standpoint. Okay? All right, take 5 minutes and get it done, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
If you have it in workplace, it's the same link. If you don't have it in workplace, scan the QR code.
Yep, yeah, link's also in the workplace chat. I just need some lemon or something.
Might be something.
I think it was lemon juice, which actually might still work. When you're done, guys, just put your phone on the table. That'll let me know you're done. Okay. All right. Give it about 2 more minutes, guys. 2 more minutes. Just notice what question you're on. I appreciate the attention to detail in your own thoughts. All right, as those are finishing up, does anybody want to share any reflections, anything that come up from you from taking that test? Elijah.
Yeah, so what I got from the assessment is kind of clarity on like my current emotional state and how much I'm really like not being all transparent with myself.
Yeah.
It shows me kind of where I need to grow in terms of my emotional intelligence.
Good. Was there any specific question that stuck out to you that you were like, oh, shit?
Really just knowing my values.
Gotcha.
There were some other questions that I kind of like I didn't quite that were kind of on edge.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, the values one. That's really important. Matter of fact, it's the most important. Anybody else? And it's okay if you don't, because I'm about to go through all the questions that are the most commonly scored the worst, or the least, I guess you can say. I don't know if worst is the word I want to use. So let's talk about this for a little bit. Now, something that I do that's different than from everything I've seen so far, again, I haven't seen everything, but in all the research that I've done, I haven't seen people include what I call perception shifting There's limiting beliefs, don't get me wrong, right? There's limiting beliefs. But limiting beliefs means that I take one of your current beliefs and I tell you it's limiting, and then we work through it, and then you come to a point where it's like, oh, okay, cool, I realize this isn't this, right? And then you create a new belief. That's a limiting belief. A perception, it's something that only aligns with a universal truth. I was just talking about my truth, your truth, whatever. No, the truth. So if you can adopt a perception inside of your own thinking, and from that perception, instantly heal your bullshit, and then start acting from that perception, you create something called a new identity loop. Have you ever heard of an identity loop, of what that is? Cool. I'm going to explain it anyways. Identity loop. You have a perception or a belief about something. That stimulates an action. That action reinforces your already belief that you have. In a very simple way, I could say, you believe you're not worthy of making 7 figures. Because you believe you're not worthy, you go to an event, but while you're at the event, you're not necessarily present, you don't really think it can help you, and then from that point, you go back to believing that you can't make 7 figures. I can get a little bit more granular. You believe you're not worthy of love. This is me. Because of that, you dive yourself into porn. When you dive yourself into porn, you try to be intimate with your wife. Doesn't work. You reject yourself from love. You reinforce that you're not worthy of love. See? Now, a lot of coaches want to go to the action and start in the action. So like, oh, okay, cool, you're having problems here. I'm going to put some Band-Aids on it. Let's work on some anxiety. Let's do some breathing techniques. Let's do those things, which are very valuable, by the way. But it's temporary. Because what's wrong is that the perception is still out of alignment. So what's going to happen when these things start to fade away, you're going to fall back on that. Plus, you're probably going to be impatient about it too, because we don't realize that it takes quite some time to remap your subconscious your conscious into your subconscious. Something we'll talk about. So let's go over some of the lowest scoring Apex questions. Number 1, I can describe without hesitation what my values are. That is your authenticity. That's who you are. The reason I put in without hesitation is because most of the time we'll be like, yeah, I know what I are. Yeah, I want to be honest. Yeah, like, I want to love people. Yeah, it's about, it's like that, right? There's no depth because you don't actually think about it. Well, what's really mind-blowing to think about is that your authenticity, your personal brand of who you are becomes your brand. So if you don't know what you stand for, how do you know what your brand stands for? And then if a customer is coming to you, they're going to be like, I don't know. Because where that shows up is in your marketing messaging. Happened to me. Like I said, I'm just regurgitating all sorts of lessons. I went to the marketing company. We went to the ad spin. I spent $55,000 on ads just to find out that shit don't work for me. Because they wanted to change my offer and change my offer and change my offer to something that they thought would be more attractive, and it wasn't what I actually did. Once I started to marry those two, here I am. That's why that's so important. Got a question for y'all. Is it the seed, the water, or the fertilizer that grows the tree? It's a combination of all three. Beautiful. No, it's great. I don't need you guys to be stumped. Beautiful. It is that. The problem is that most of the time, we look for another brand of fertilizer when that shit ain't working. And then we dump even more water on it, but we never planted the seed. That's what we're conditioned to do. We're not conditioned to look in here at ourselves. We're conditioned to look out. Oh, that can help me? Okay, oh, that can help me? That is shiny object syndrome, by the way. that is going out and trying to find the next best thing to help you. But everything continues to fail because you're not helping yourself. I've been in plenty of coaching programs that helped build my business. The first one I was in, testimonials after testimonials of guys that were making 6 figures from his coaching. I didn't make 6 figures. The same framework. What was different? I blamed, but it was me. Yes. So what we try and tell you guys is that the operations is only as good as the operator. You can get the framework that says, hey, fast track to $7 million right here, $10 million, whatever it is. But if you don't believe you can make it, if you let fear resist what you want, you never get there. So the shadow of this is indifference. Do you know what indifference is?
Ignoring, ignorance.
In a way. In a way. It is the antithesis, yes?
Being missing line from what's inside versus like what you say, what you do, being different, which like your intentions and what you actually do.
Yeah. Can be.
Not caring whether
There you go.
one way or another.
There you go. Not caring. All those things were symptoms of not caring. Do you guys believe, and again, I'm just wondering, but I'm going to tell you, but do you guys believe in energy? The energy you give off is the energy you attract. You believe in that? Cool. You want to know why Nick said you're already the 1%? Because the majority of the fucking world is indifferent. And they're giving off an energy of indifference to you and to everybody else. And I am not perfect. I do the same thing. Like, you ask me about politics, don't care. Don't care. I see what's happening, don't get me wrong. And also, I feel like there's a better way. I don't have to care about politics to change the world. Do you?
Bingo.
No. So I choose not to care about it. Right? But that's just a choice of mine. But then all the other people would rather be indifferent around the purpose that they have in their life, the calling that's inside of them, maybe even with their kids, indifferent about their family, indifferent about their work, indifferent. It's just all indifference. And it's uncomfortable. I talked to guys on the phone. I was talking to this guy the other day. He ends up not signing up with me as a client, right? But I'm talking to him, I'm like, dude, you're uncomfortable now. You're uncomfortable here with the offer that I made for you. You're going to be uncomfortable doing the work. So now, why not choose the uncomfortability that actually pushes you forward? Right? But that's, again, what fear does. It tricks you. You'd be sitting on the couch, comfortable in uncomfortability. But if you want to go up and do something, you're still going to experience uncomfortability. But your brain's like, nah, that's uncomfortable. We're comfortable here. But you're not. So why is it so hard to change? Why is it so hard? Matter of fact, it's so hard that it is the most scary thing for anybody to do is to look inside themselves and say, fuck, I did this, I don't like that I act this way, I really wish I could change this thing, I really wish I could do something different here. Then fucking do it, but why don't we do it? Because we're afraid. Because you're afraid of what you might find. Because you're afraid that if you actually admitted that you were failing in some areas of your life and you weren't invincible, that you would be inadequate in some sort of way, or incapable. So you have these dueling, I like to use the devil and the angel. You have these dueling voices in your head. Why I use the devil and the angel? You guys see the pop culture, right? You know, somebody wants to cut the character, right? Some choice they have to make. Angel version of the character, devil version of the character. You should definitely not. Oh, you should just love him. You know that, right? That's a perfect pop culture reflection of your inner voice, of mainly two voices, of your inner critic and your IGS. And your inner critic comes from your subconscious mind, which we can also call your body, which is the living library. The subconscious mind's real tricky because it doesn't care like you do. It doesn't care. It doesn't care what you do. It's just mapping what you do. So what you repetitively think, feel, and do every single day, it starts to map as the norm. Doesn't care if what you're doing is causing you pain. Doesn't care if the way that you think is causing you to be stagnant. Doesn't care if you are frightfully afraid of everything around you. That's just the way you are, so that's what I'm going to register. The other side, the IGS, is your conscious, right? It's your conscious intentions. It's what you want to be. And this duality between the two is constant, but can be controlled through choice and through actually starting to remap the subconscious mind. So now we can dive into my story a little bit. When I was 14 years old, I started watching pornography in my parents' basement. It's like 1996, right? Dial-up AOL, y'all remember that shit? Right? Video pornography just started coming up. I'm left alone in my parents' basement. And for the next 16 years of my life, from the time I was 14 to 30, it just spiraled. And it started out this little stuff, and then spiral. Get to the point where I'm in college, and I'm locking myself in my room and telling my roommates I'm studying. Come on. Then things start to happen. Then I'm with my girlfriend from college, and then I'm having intimacy issues. Like, what? I'm severely anxious around intimacy. I'm afraid of intimacy. That bleeds over to me being, I would never be in front of you guys at this point, to have social anxiety. I was afraid of people because I was doing this thing that I was tricking myself to believe that wasn't the problem. I kept saying, no, that's not it. No, something else. But my IGS is like, hey, bro, it is. Consistently. It started as a whisper, and then it got a little bit louder, and then it got a little bit louder. And then eventually it yelled one day to the point where I lost seemingly everything. My first girlfriend, that's when I started having problems with intimacy issues. Then my second girlfriend turned into my wife, who's now my ex. And that was the end. Because I didn't come out. I was forced out of my pornography addiction. We were having intimacy issues. This woman, by the way, I don't know if you guys have ever had a woman come into your life. It might be the woman that you're with now. And it's like the first time you meet them, it's like lightning bolts. You're like, something about you. Oh, you like me too? Oh, okay, right? Like that type of thing. Like you were meant to be in my life. She was. She was my greatest teacher. That whole relationship was. So when I decided to come out, it was forced out. This is how deep I was tricking myself. You ready for this? This is how deep I was tricking myself. So again, we had problems for a while. I lied, cheated, cheating pretty much porn, but lied, manipulated, right? Said I wasn't doing it, said I wasn't doing those things. I created this huge wall of lies and manipulation around what the truth was. So we're walking to our car after leaving the gym. And she's like, we get in my car, we're sitting there, she's like, I have something to show you. Okay. She grabs my phone, she puts it into in private browser. And by the way, if you repetitively search for something in your in private browser, it's still gonna show up. Didn't know that? So she puts it up, and like last 5 searches are right there. It's not me. No, I'm serious, that's not me. All right, it's me. I lied fucking twice. What if it's on my phone in front of me? Holy shit. She always thinks I wouldn't tell the story that way. We're actually really good friends now. That's how deep I was, right? And to believe my own bullshit. But once I came out, once all that happened, once I had this incredibly painful experience, where I thought I was losing everything, I actually was gaining everything I could ever want in my life. Because it was the moment I started the climb from the long-ass dig my ego gave to me. And every fucking moment of it has been the best moments of my life. even the pain, even the change. So for me, I had mapped something repetitively into my subconscious, God knows how many times, thousands and thousands and thousands. We're talking about 16 years. Thousands of times watching something, after watching it, experiencing ecstasy, and then experiencing shame and guilt right afterwards. On repeat. So for me, I had a lot of work to do. I did a lot of work. The only reason why I understand each and every one of you without ever having to speak a word to you is because I did a lot of work on me. And I have a gift. I mean, let's be real. I'm in my gift. But I only found it through that. I would never have known. Never be here. So you have this duality of the subconscious mind. And the other thing that your inner critic will do is when you want to try and change it, it'll tell you how stupid and ridiculous you look trying to do so. So for me, I needed to start to heal, right, intimacy, because all actuality, like I wanted to love, I wanted to express love. I wanted to express love with my partner. Of course I want to have sex with my partner. Of course I want to do all these things. Of course, right? So at the time, I had to drive to the gym. I had about a 30-minute drive to the gym because I had to switch gyms. For 30 minutes straight. I love sex. 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 I made a song about it. 30 minutes straight. 3 months in, feeling a little bit different. 5 months in, I get with a girl. Only a little bit of fear. 7 months in, I get with another girl. Am I even afraid? That's how it works. And yet you might call yourself a crazy person, riding in the car, saying the same thing over and over again. But again, repetition heals repetition. And so does perception. There's a lot of perceptions that I had to literally break down, right, to the core and say, holy crap, that doesn't serve me, that's imprisoning me, that's causing fear. There was a lot of those. That's making it so I can't feel love. And that's how I think. But I have a choice. I choose how I think. We don't realize how ingrained the victim state is. Even the guys, even the people, human beings that literally take the most ownership and responsibility day in and day out still have to deal with victim mindset. Right? And all it is blame. Blame, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Everything but yourself. And we go as far as even blaming God sometimes when things are really bad. God just smiles and he's like, it's for you. Once you figure that out, you'll start moving a lot faster. Self-sabotage. That's where the subconscious, that's where everything comes from. Limitations, self-sabotaging behaviors, porn, drugs, too long on your phone, right? Too much focus on your phone, patterns in your relationships. I found out I had a pattern in a relationship with my current girlfriend that I didn't know I had until I got to this one, because this woman is like, I mean, I manifested a winner. And when I say manifested, I literally, and you guys can try this out if you haven't found your perfect partner just yet. This has worked for a couple of people I know at this point. I wrote down exactly the characteristics I wanted in the perfect relationship. And 1 year later, she showed up. And then 6 months later after that, she told me that she did the same thing. You know what our 1 year anniversary was to each other? Those lists. Pretty cool. Did she check off all of them? No, no one's perfect. Did she check off 95% of them? And is she willing to work on the other 5%? Yes. But that's where this comes from, self-sabotage. And it all comes from a deep, deep, deep seated self-worth issue that we all struggle with. That can be changed. I'm in the middle of it. I'll let you know when I get to the end. You guys want to know a cool visualization? So I'm an analogy guy if you haven't caught on yet. I like using analogies because they explain really complex things really easily. So if you would really like to start acting within your conscious intentions, your authenticity, this is what you do. Imagine You go into a movie theater. Whoop, sit down. The person that's in the movie theater starts playing your life from the time you can remember to now. You'll laugh at the good times. You'll kick and scream, yell at the bad ones, wish you never see it. But it wasn't in your mind still. But guess what? It's a movie. Doesn't care. It's just showing you what's up. Then you get out of the movie theater all emotionally distraught. You're like, man, start living your life. Without the realization that the damn camera's still on you, man. It's still there. It'll trick you to believe it's not. So how would you act if you knew a camera was in your face all the time and that the people that you love the most were to watch it? Every day. End of the day. Here's what Zach did today. I bet you wouldn't do a lot of the shit you're doing right now. That's your conscious intentions. That's your authenticity. Everything else? Nope. Here's the next one. I don't get emotionally attached to my desired outcome. This is one of the lower scoring ones. Anybody 3 or below on this one? Cool. Yep. Attachment. Ooh, attachment. This is a love thing as well. All this is love, by the way. Everything I'm talking about. All undertones. What happens when you get emotionally attached to your desired outcome? Whatever that may be. Maybe it's a big deal that you need to make. Maybe it's your monthly revenue. What happens?
Some people get depressed.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure. Yep.
You identify yourself with that given result, and then when you don't get it, you feel unworthy, and then there's guilt and shame, which leads to more of the same.
Yep. Yeah. So the I'll be happy when syndrome.
From what my experience, you start to lose you don't really acknowledge the growth you made outside of that goal, like your whole identity that long, your whole focus is that outcome. You don't really acknowledge all the other milestones you made, all the other things.
Yeah.
It's just that milestone that's finished.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So we have the repetitive thing, but in the initial thing, when you do that, what happens is you get fearful. Depression can be fear. Typically, the next thing that happens is that you're going to actually feel anxious because all anxiety is the unknown. So you don't know whether this is going to happen. And from the anxiety comes down to stress. So now you're stressed out, trying to figure out how you're going to do whatever you're going to do. And that just does not work. Sorry, guys. I promise you are moving slow as nails if you think that that's the way that's going to get you to the way that you want to get to faster.
Can you say that again?
What?
Slow as nails.
Slow as nails? Going slow as nails? That way. I thought, I'm gonna keep talking for a second because I thought that this was gonna be a different slide, but it's not. Flow versus plan, right? So I said that you're gonna be going slow as nails if you do it in a way in which you're emotionally attached to the outcome. Again, what happens? Let's talk about it for a second. Anxiety hits. Once anxiety hits, you are not thinking clearly. You're also thinking from a state of fear. And anything that is actually created from fear is not created, it's actually just made. A creation comes from love. Fear makes things. It makes a response. It's a response to something, and that's what fear is. It's reflective and reactive. So when you're trying to do this, you're trying to figure out the solution to make, let's say, revenue. And with that, you're anxious and you're stressed. And when you're stressed, I wish the slide was there. When you're stressed, a couple of things physiologically happen to you. First thing is that blood is preferentially sent from the forebrain to the hindbrain. This is the limbic system. This is all reactive. This is all fear-based. Blood also carries nutrients, by the way. So wherever the nutrients go, it performs better. So one, your CEO is in the front of the brain. This is the thing that actually acts, right? Decides how you act, and can also create comprehensive lists of what to do, right? But you don't have the nutrients there. It's now in the hindbrain. The other thing that happens is that your blood is preferentially sent out of your gut into your limbs. This is the old saber-toothed tiger, analogy. Because when you're stressed, you would have to run from something. Because it's based off a fight or flight life defense. Well, what happens there? Well, then you might have digestive issues. Right? A lot of people actually have digestive issues because they're stressed, not because they're not taking the right probiotics or they're not doing it's like you're just stressed out. And then the next thing it does is it makes you sick. Because under stress, your white blood cells, your immune system is not in need, right? You don't need your immune system to run, so then your white blood cells start to decrease. So when we are constantly in stress, would you want to get sick? Do you guys ever get sick? No. Why don't you want to get sick?
Why would you can perform your best?
Yeah.
Love others.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Sure. But a lot of times we don't want to get sick because we don't want to miss a day of work. We don't want to miss a day doing our purpose, right? Right? But if you're chronically sick, then that's a problem. That's coming from stress. If you're constantly reacting to your environment and not creating, I promise you, whatever solution you're coming up with, you're going to have to re-salute, right? Because it's reaction. So I'm just going to grab the first thing that I think is going to help. Cool, it's done. Here's the next thing. Then you start doing these things, and then that thing that you just kind of like flew by isn't really the right thing, so you got to go back and fix that thing. Have y'all been there before? Right? How much time does that waste? Then you beat yourself up more, right? You're like, oh my God, I should have just did it right the first time. It's a loop. What I'm telling you is that the amount of time that you sit in that, multiply it by a lifetime. Higher perspective. That's why we say we don't have time. You know what happens when you say you don't have time? You're being victimized by time. You're blaming time. Time was here, and it's my understanding, that time is here for you to learn how to use it efficiently and effectively. That's what time is for. But when we say we don't have time. All right, another one. When my schedule is disrupted, I don't feel rushed. Kind of goes along the same lines, though. How many guys, 3 or below on this one? How many times does your schedule get disrupted? Doesn't help anything. You feel pretty guilty afterwards? Yeah. It's because consciously you don't want to do that. But it's a subconscious thing, right? So that's the big joke, is that we get so upset when our schedule gets disrupted, and yet it happens every day. We're choosing, right, on how we can act in that situation. We always have a choice. And if you chose to say, okay, here's what my schedule is today, and also here's some room for if this doesn't happen, that's a perception. By standing from that perception, whenever you're doing your work, one, you'll do it with less concern or fear, because you've already accepted that something else can happen. And then 2, when that other thing happens, you will not be emotionally charged or resistant to it as much. There's still going to be, you're human, right? But you can say, oh, no, I knew this was going to happen. How can I help you? Right? And then from clear thinking and certainty, we can actually come up with a solution that's mutually beneficial for the party, for the experience, whatever it is. Stress, I always say stress makes you stupid and sick. That was that whole talk. Let's go through here. Next one. I acknowledge others' feelings without feeling personally attacked. How many guys? 3 or below? Ooh, that one's hard. It sucks, doesn't it? It sucks when somebody sees you wrong. Right? Is it their fault that they see you wrong? Or is it your fault that they see you wrong?
Your responsibility.
Hey, you got it. Might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Responsibility.
We talk about victims and actually like victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse, things like that. The first level of having to heal from that is realizing that what happened to them is not their fault. Because they blame them. I should have been at that alley. I knew that this guy was going to do this. I should have left earlier. I should have, right? So they blame it on themselves. But in reality, it isn't their fault. But it is their responsibility to act in a way in which is going to be best for them from that experience. But fault masks us from taking responsibility. So what happens when we actually have somebody that says something to us and it's wrong? I'll tell you actually, from my perspective and perception, it is your fault. If you have given off a perception from somebody from the outside that you're close enough to that they would talk to you, right? Then you're not showing up in your conscious intentions enough for them to see who you really are, and they've only caught the subconscious. They've only caught all the other things, and that's their perception of you. So when they reflect back to you and you get mad, I always know that. I always hit a spot when I'm with my clients. They either get mad or they get defensive. And I'm like, that is what you think about yourself. Now, how quickly can you accept that? Most can't. But that's what happens. That's why when we take it personally, it's because they are highlighting a personal insecurity, and the insecurity is being masked by anger, resistance, frustration, right? Because you don't want to admit it. Once you start figuring out, one, what your values are, and then two, start aligning yourself daily with those values, you won't care. I used to be so susceptible to judgment. Oh my God. How much time do I get? Oh, okay, enough time. Let me tell you all a story. I'll give you the punchline. I got death threats for donating $2,000 to a charity. Punchline. Here's how it happened. So early 2020, one of my clients, he runs a charity called Make a Vet Sweat. They fund 90-day gym memberships to help veterans and their spouses overcome the symptoms of PTSD. My business got to a point where I'm like, hey man, I would love to do something with your business. Let's do a charity event, raise some money, go through that process. They were on board. So cool. So I go grand. I find like this opera house kind of place, right? It was like $6,000 to rent this place out. I was like, let's go grand. It's like 300 seats. And the plan, the intention was to sell tickets. And by selling tickets, that would donate to charity, right? And of course, I had a little bit of cost in it. So I wanted to be able to at least recoup my cost. I didn't want to have to go out zero. That happened anyways. So we sell the tickets, right? Then we get about 2 weeks out from the show, we sold like 12 tickets, and this is a 300 stadium, right? 300-foot stadium where 300 people can fit in it. And I start freaking out. I'm like, damn, only 12? So I started giving out free promo codes because I was like, I just want to fill the seats. Like, who gives a shit about the money at this point? I just want to fill the seats. So I started giving out free promo codes. I give them out to anybody I know, which of course is going to be in my network, and then I just blast emails, like anything I could do, right? So then we get about 100 people to come. And graciously, one of the speakers that came and spoke was the person that donated the $2,000. And of course, I could have, if I was a crook, said, well, I need to recoup my costs. I'm going to take that, but I just passed it along because we did what we wanted to do. To raise $2,000 for charity. So not only did that happen, but then we go into lockdown, and like 2 weeks later, there's these rumors going around that I threw a charity event, and I tried to charge the veterans, but I was giving free promo codes to my friends, and how wrong that was. That's true. That happened. That's exactly what happened. It just wasn't my intention. So my intention wasn't aligned with the actions that I was making. Also, I didn't really understand the veteran market. Veteran market is really, really, really interesting. I have a lot of friends that are vets now, so I'm going to speak about this exactly how it is. Veterans want things for free all the time, but they complain that the government doesn't do enough for them for free. So I wanted to fill the gap in the private sector, right? Say, let's do more for the veterans. But of course, it's private equity. It's from me, right? So like, I can't do it for free. Learn something. I started getting death threats about 2 weeks later. People going in my DMs, telling me they work for the CIA. They know where I work out. They know where my girlfriend is. Like all these things, right? Never owned a gun in my life, and now I do. The one is in my car. Hope to never use it. That's what happens. That's what happens when your intentions do not match your actions, when you don't know what you're trying to do. I felt personally attacked. Why did I feel personally attacked? Because it wasn't who I actually was, but it's how I showed up. So I took a whole bunch of shit personal from that. Until one day I realized that I learned something. The faster you can get to the lesson, the better. This one, I never avoid hard conversations. 3 or below? Anybody? Okay. This is one that's normally really common. And passion is the difference. If you're incredibly passionate about your vision, about what you want to do in the world, right? Then you'll have every hard conversation you ever need to have. You'll know that this isn't going to be comfortable, but I can't have this person inside of my business, or maybe it's you, bleeding out a corner of the business by underperforming and just avoid the conversation because I don't want to have confrontation. That's what happens. And that's what happens a lot of times when we don't have passion for our business. Like, passion is what actually pushes us to have these conversations. And coming from a place of love is how you actually have a conversation that ends up being mutually beneficial rather than accusing what you did, because then it just becomes an accuse game. The energy you give off is the energy you attract. Here's the last shift for you guys for perception. The key to life. Suffering. Why do you guys think we suffer? Do you believe that when you're suffering? Yeah. Okay. So that means that when you're in the middle of suffering, you do it with a smile on your face?
Not like it's easy, but that's the only way to make it through, like not much depression or any bad ways. Reframe it as this is meant to make me stronger.
It's beautiful. So the faster you can do that, the better. Suffering forces your consciousness to grow. That's why it's here for you. We have, again, trick of the brain. You have a vision of who you want to be. You see this person. You see this guy up here. He's got all the things that you want to have. He acts in the way that you want to act. He has all these things up here. And then you get the first challenge to teach you a lesson to get there, and you're like, whoa, I don't want to do this. You mean I have to get divorced? Oh, fuck. You mean I have to go to therapy? Damn. Is that really? You mean I have to lose everything? You mean I need to go from a $250,000 a year business to a $3,000 a month business? Really? You mean I have to sell both of my cars and go get into a one-bedroom apartment and live by myself? Be okay with myself? Really? Yeah, really. That's what it took. That's what it takes now, in different ways, right? But what this does is when you have this perception, you don't have to go through your suffering with stress, anxiety, fear. You don't have to be isolated, right? Because that's normally what we do, is we isolate ourselves. You don't have to do those things. You're choosing. You're choosing to do those things. So what this does for me, which, by the way, 2 weeks ago I was crying over my business, over my suffering. Like I said, it makes it any easier. It just gives you a better perspective. Nothing should be easy, right? That's the point, right? Nothing in life that's worth living comes easy, something like that, right? Cliches are always true. We're never going to actually say them, really. Yeah. You know, you hit the cliche, you're like, yeah, I get that, cool. Right? Here's a cliche for you. You guys ever think that thoughts become things? Do you believe it? Yes. Then why would you ever think anything that's fearful? Or negative? Or anything that would ever limit you if thoughts become things? Because guess what they are? They are becoming things. They're becoming the things that limit you. They become the things that imprison you. So if you truly believe it, stop thinking fearful shit. This is an energy frequency chart. You guys know that emotions give off frequencies. Again, energy you give off is the energy you attract. You know that? Okay. This is the visible representation of it. And I can bring you through probably your emotional state before you even came here. Everything below courage here is what's called contracted, meaning that inside of an actual spectrum, which they have machines now, high-tech stuff, that can show emotion being given off and the radiance or aura from that emotion. It's really cool. So anything that's below courage is contracted. It doesn't come outside the human body. Anything that's above courage starts to expand. They've actually seen that love expands 6 feet in diameter outside the human body. Now I'm really going to blow your mind because I'm going to talk about your relationship. When you first got with your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it is, wasn't there some sort of warm, sticky energy between the two of you? We call it infatuation. It's really love. It's just a different version. And then over time, where's that energy go? What the fuck happens? Right? Love changes. Love transforms. But what happens is, it's what happened to me, is you start doing stuff that makes you angry. You start doing stuff that makes you feel guilty. You start doing stuff that might make you feel shameful. And you hang out in here. So when your partner says, I feel like there's a wall of communication up between us, it's not that there's a wall, it's that you're not expanding. So that person can't feel you because that person's expanding and they actually are hitting a wall because like you're not expanding with them. So I'm in just over 2 years of my relationship now, right? So like I was telling y'all about this, I had this trigger, right? And I found out I didn't get to this, but I have a trigger that I found out through this relationship because she's the perfect woman, like for everything I could ever need. And yet, at about 2 years, I started to emotionally, mentally, and physically check out. Like, this is weird. Why am I doing this? Well, that's trauma from a past relationship, because after my other relationships, after the 2-year mark, pooh, all downhill from there. So it was protection, right? But I understood it because I said, oh crap, okay, this is happening. I'm starting to get angry. I'm starting to desire something different than what I have. Right? I'm getting fearful that she might leave, or maybe I might leave myself. All these things started happening, so I realized that I said, wait a second, I need to have the courage to tell her what's going on. From the courage, I have the willingness in front of you that I want to be able to work through this, baby. Please, let's talk about this. I accepted that, oh, this is a pattern, right? I started to reason with it, and then I went back to love. That's exactly what happens. You guys, before coming to this event, you most likely are sitting somewhere in here. Most likely desire. Everybody in here is desiring something more. But as you can see, we're still not expanding. But desire lifts you up to courage. You had the courage to come here and be here today. What I say about courage, self-respect, right? Self-respect equals courage, right? You have the courage to be here, to work into here, because guess what we're giving off? We're giving off love, all to you. Love, 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 love. And when people that are encouraged are around people in love, they move towards it. If you're a coach and you coach somebody, you understand this. When somebody reaches out to you and they want to, I don't know, lose weight or whatever, they have the courage to pick up the phone and reach out to you. And why are they reaching out to you? They say they want to lose weight. Really, they want to love themselves more. So if you can start to understand this type of thing, again, what am I talking about? I'm talking about mastering your emotions. When you master your emotions, you will liberate your limitations. And now we go back to the change cycle. So remember this one? All right, so this is the slower change cycle. Well, guess what? There's no need for resistance. And actually, there's no need for a choice. And we'll see that in a second. There's no need for frustration, right? Because we know it's here for us. We're expecting it to happen. Cool, I'm not going to get frustrated. And what is this? There's a choice. I would tell you that there's no need for a choice. Because your IGS already knows. I like to distinguish choice and decision with two different things. Choice comes from your heart, decision comes from your brain. Choice comes from your internal guidance system. Decisions come from fear. Why would you have to decide anything if you were choosing it? I'm going to pull a Shane Scott on for a second. I love this analogy. It's really funny. Okay. I need a volunteer. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Okay. You like ice cream?
Yeah.
Cool. I want you to choose between chocolate and vanilla.
Chocolate.
Why do you choose it?
I like it.
Is that a choice or a decision?
It's a choice.
Why?
Because I like it.
Try this again. Chocolate or vanilla? Choose.
Chocolate.
Why?
Because I like chocolate.
Chocolate or vanilla? Choose.
I like chocolate, man.
Okay. So I'm telling you that that's not a choice. Why would you think that's not a choice?
Because it's a decision.
Why is it a decision?
Because I'm making it because of based on fear.
If a choice, in this sense, and I could set this up differently, but it still applies. Why do you like it? What made you like chocolate? Do you remember?
Like the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we used to buy like in Napolitan. How do you say?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And chocolate was my favorite.
Awesome. So who actually gave you the choice of liking chocolate?
My parents.
Cool. What if you grew up in another family and all they had was strawberry ice cream? Do you think you'd ever like chocolate?
I would have liked strawberry probably.
Probably. So that's what I'm saying.
So that was what a decision.
It's a decision.
Raise your hand if you think you get this right after. This is a very difficult question. Okay. Can I just give them the Latin on why?
Yeah, you can set up the two definitions. I was going.
This is where Zach and I, we don't butt heads. We just we process things completely different, and so I have to have a science approach to it. So the word decision is Latin. What's incision mean? You all know what incision is, like to cut into, right? So decision is literally to take away from, to remove from. So by making the decision of chocolate, you made it with your brain because you're telling yourself you prefer it over vanilla in this instant. So you removed something. What if you just chose something just to fucking choose it? I just want chocolate. So when he says, why'd you pick chocolate? Why'd you choose chocolate? Because I chose it. That's it. That's acceptance. What if you just chose to, like, so when we say to be here now, to be where your feet are, just choose to be present. Not because we told you to, not because it's better than being at home where the kids are going crazy and the wife wants to kill you or whatever's going on. You're not choosing not to be there, right? So choice and decision, this is a very difficult concept to grasp, and I don't expect anyone to just grab it right now, but sometimes the science can help. So the Latin word decision means to actually take away from. So when you make a decision, and we don't use that word around here hardly ever, you're actually making the decision not to choose something else. You're taking it away. You're taking away another opportunity. And you're only doing that because you've been given the opportunity. If he never heard of chocolate and all he knew was strawberry, he would make a choice of strawberry because he's doesn't have anything to take away from. It's very complicated, but the premise being just choose to fucking make whatever move you're gonna make just because you chose it. You don't have to justify everything you do is what I'm saying. And that's part of just trusting. Mm-hmm. So that's choice versus decision in a bit of a nutshell, but this is a very complicated thing.
Yeah,
that's why I feel like I have to jump in.
No, that was beautiful, Nick. Thank you.
And not that he can't explain it, I have to hear it 6 different ways. I probably helped 3 more of you, max, is what I'm saying, because this is a very but when you get it, you'll get it.
Yeah, what I said in the beginning, guys, I take really, really complicated things, I make them really simple. That's one of them.
So I passed.
Doesn't matter to you whether you passed. Are you being emotionally attached to the outcome and your self-worth hinging on it? So here's a faster change cycle.
That's why no one was talking to me. We had all this shit figured out. We're so elite. We read every book and we've helped so many people. And then we sit down for 10 minutes and we just fucking give up on life.
You know what? You know why I love this so much though, guys? Seriously. Seriously. I learn something, I teach it. I teach something, I learn it. That's what I get to do. So again, I'm not immune. I keep telling you guys this entire thing. Everything I'm telling you guys is just reflecting back into me. It's reflecting back into me. That's why I love teaching, because the more I teach it, the better I grow too. Here's a faster change cycle for you. This is what I call the apex change cycle. That you're aware that there's a problem. There's no need to be frustrated. Let's just go explore what the problem is and how we can find the solution. From exploration, you don't need choice. You just need the courage, right, to listen. And then you can accept that that is the thing. And then from acceptance, acceleration. And from acceleration, you're accelerating to success, and a lot faster. So I've been through Eddie Wilson's faster training cycle. It's possible. Alignment. That's what I call alignment, right here. So what we're looking for is clarity, right? And that's really the most important thing with all of this, is that when you're not emotionally blocked, you can think clearly, and from thinking clearly, you can hear your IGS speak, you can follow your heart, you can make choices, not decisions, because there's nothing to decide. It's only one thing. It is singleness of thought. This is what I call singleness of thought. I've actually started to get better at this, which is really cool. Singleness of thought. How many of you guys could go throughout your entire day and only think when you speak? That's hard. It's really hard. Because when we're not speaking, we got inner conflict. You got your inner critic, you got your IGS, and they're just going to keep entertaining each other the entire time. But you have a choice with that to not entertain yourself. You have a choice to not have inner conflict. You're choosing to be in the inner conflict. You can choose not to be. You can push that aside. You can look at your past and choose to see it differently than it actually happened, because all we want to do is we're attached to the trauma and the pain and everything else that forges our identity. But it's forging a false identity. You can also choose from this point forward to see this different. You can choose to see me different. I'm just trying to give you the actual awareness of the levels of choice that you have as the powerful creator of your experience. So what's the cost of your misguided focus? Success. All the times you choose to focus everywhere else, all the times you choose to get frustrated, you choose to get angry, all the times that you choose porn, all the times that you choose drugs over your family, you choose your drinking, right? You choose to be nasty to your family because you came home and you had a bad day. Boo fucking who? They don't know about it. Don't bring your shit home to them. Science of family. I'm going to go quick. So they actually found out, this is the science of family, is that epigenetics, you ever heard of epigenetics? I'm going to just break it down really quickly. They used to think that DNA and DNA strands was the thing that genetically made who you are, which is true to an extent, but what they found is that a DNA strand creates a protein. And once it creates the protein, they can take away the DNA strand and the protein will live for 3 months. That doesn't make no sense, right? Why would that be the case? Well, because the protein that's created perceives your environment and then does a reaction to the perception. Very simple way to know this, cool? You get cold, you get chills. Once you get chills, your metabolism heats up. That's the response, right, to get your body to heat up to warm yourself. That's happening all the time. So that's why containers like this are so incredible, because if you're perceiving other people that are wanting to do the same thing, that are wanting to grow and expand who they are, their purpose around the same people, you do it faster because the energy you give off is the energy you attract. There's your protein. And the truth of everything is unity. The reason why epigenetics works is because they've literally found in science now that when they break down an atom even further, and you get the protons, the neutrons, you break it down to neutrinos and all these other things, you break it down, there's actually a stopping point. It's a unified energy. An unmanifested, unified energy, which is all the same, which we are all made from, which that table is made from. It's hard to identify with the table, isn't it? But what do you think is the main element of this table? Element, an actual element. Carbon. What do you think you're made of? So we talked about the different levels of choice. I'm going to leave you with this analogy, and then we have a little bit of exercise. Truth of all experience. So what I like to do is use the poker game analogy. Why is life so hard? Why do we suffer? Why do we go through all these challenges? You guys are competitive, right? You're going to need to be. You're going to need to be if you're going to build what you're going to build. There's a difference being competitive in a healthy way and dominating your competition in a wrong way. We can talk about that one day. What I'm saying is that a poker game, you have a poker game. What happens if you sit down at a poker table, and you know your cards and you know all the players' cards? You're going to win, right? Is it going to be interesting, though? No. You might win all that money. You might go to another poker table, do the same thing, do the same thing. And if you were trapped in that experience your entire life, eventually you'd be like, what the fucking point of this? The reason why life is hard is to create interest and passion and purpose. That's where that comes from. From pain becomes purpose. This is the transmutation or the transformation of pain into purpose. And the truth of all experience is that if everybody was at a card table right now playing cards, what if those cards, what if they were limitations? What if they were anger? What if they were love? What if they were sadness? And over a lifetime, this poker game is dealt and redealt and redealt and redealt. You know what the key is? That with all cards face up, no matter what the card, you say, I love you. That's the key. And that really is just the person sitting across from you, a parent that maybe you felt did you wrong, a business partner that did you wrong, a girlfriend that left you, all this resentment, all this anger, all this, I love you. It's okay. You were doing the best you could with the knowledge you had. And I forgive you. The fastest way for you to transform is through 3 steps. It's acceptance, accepting where you are in your business, accepting where you are in your personality, in your own experience, and all the things that are in the corner of your brain that you choose to conflict with. Oh, these are a problem, acceptance. Through acceptance, you can bring them into the forefront and say, okay, I see you. Let's deal with this shit. Understanding. I need to understand why these things happen to me. That is important. Because once we know why, then we can extract something else, which is the most important thing, is the lesson. And from the lesson, once we know what we can do differently, then we can start, number 3, forgiveness. Patterns. How many of you guys experience patterns in your life? How many times does something keep showing up for you over and over and over again? Boom, 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 boom. There's a lesson you haven't learned yet. Hate to break it to you, it's going to keep showing up for you until you do it. Remember when I was telling you that people curse God and God's just like, it's for you, come on, man. I'm literally trying to get you to just move through this thing. So, okay, you're not going to do that time. We'll try again. Okay, we'll try again. We'll try again. And every time we try again, the intensity of the pain is worse and worse and worse. Intentionally. So that one day you make a different choice. You choose to be courageous enough to say, okay, what does this have to do with? There's your truth. We started with love, we end with love. The application of all this might be hard to grasp right now, but I'll just leave you with one thing. What would happen if in your entire life, in your family, your focus, your finance, your fitness, you had a perception that was aligned with love rather than fear?